Can you hear me? Test, test, test. One, two, three, four. Can you hear me? Hey, can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me? You can hear me. Thumbs up. All right. God, that was awful. Okay, so everybody can hear me. Okay. Thank you. All right. Sorry about that. My apologies. Um, all right, let me start. You had all my genius thoughts and now they're all lost. Oh no. All right, let's reset. So first off in this, usually you come in and you just crush LSU straight away and say how terrible they played. I'm going to do the opposite first because I thought Rice played well. I thought they had a great game plan. I thought they matched up well against LSU. So I think it was a tough opening matchup for LSU just on paper. I thought Lindsay Edmonds, the coach for Rice, I think Mulkey said in the pregame she had a few trainers for LSU or that previously worked for her. I don't probably at Baylor probably that were coaches on the Rice staff, and I thought they did a nice game plan. What I liked was whenever LSU got a rebound or looked like they were going to get out in transition, that they would reach in and get a foul or sort of slow it down, try to poke it away, try to cause turnovers, and just turn it into a slow half court game, and that was perfect. And with Rice, they did everything they needed to do, in my opinion. They gave themselves the best chance to win. That's all you can ask. And if some of those shots would have dropped at the end, then they were really a good chance of winning it. Like they had a few in transition that seemed like they went in and out. I don't know if that was me or not, but it felt like they had a lot of shots that just went in and out, rolled in and out, and they had their shot. It just would have tightened it up. And boy, I just don't think Rice could have done anything better. Uh, I think they would go away from this game extremely happy, in my opinion. I thought. I thought the only quibble I'd have with Rice, and it's nitpicking, I think it was like about 45 seconds at the top of the key, and they just let Poa sort of dribble, and then Poa drove, and then they got a foul, and it was like, if you're gonna foul early on. But I'm sure they weren't trying to reach in or do that. But full full flowers to Rice, as I thought they played well, and then because I don't watch Rice obviously that much, like, it's hard to come up with their names and stuff like that. But was it 35, Sussy? Like, she was a good matchup for Reese. I thought she did well with that. Uh, I thought she was a big and sort of had that Audie Crooks type game where Reese couldn't move her around and really gave Reese trouble early on. Reese eventually got there. I thought Reese got away with a lot of fouls, to be honest. There was like one where they came back they came back to the game, and there's one where Reese just basically throws down the Rice player, and the Rice player is on the ground just like, "What? How's that not a foul?" And then their backup, they had a big backup as well. Was it Sam? I guess she was 6'4", so they had size in the middle. Yeah, I'm a Texans fan. Yep, guilty as charged. I'm really a Houston Oilers fan actually, but yeah, they rise full flowers to them. Now let's get into LSU. Now LSU, they first off, you can crush LSU, but I like watching. I don't know if it's a morbid fact of me or not, but I love watching plane crash investigation. I just find it fascinating how how a how a the plane goes down and what caused it to happen and things like that. I remember watching one. It was like Japanese airline, and the pilot somehow lost lost visual and sort of took the plane into a dive, and it was a 747, and they were spiraling out of control, and it was a giant mess, and he got the horizon, was able to pull the plane out at the last minute. They landed. The plane was really beat up. The pilot had done everything wrong, but then the expert at the end says, this pilot messed up everything. He messed up everything and got it all wrong, but he did the one thing you have to do, which is land the plane and get the people there safely. And that's how I feel about LSU in this game. Like they would not be proud of that game. They had way too many turnovers, and they would probably be like, oh my goodness. The problems that we had in the past we still have and they're nagging us but they did the one thing that they had to do in this game was land the plane and get the win as ugly as it was. But the things that were ugly with the win, in my opinion, I mean, it comes back to HVL, Haley Van Lith. I mean, she must have gone into this game going, man, I have lucked out. Louisville lost to Middle Tennessee. Here we go. We um, we are on our way. And we'll get this win and we're going to go. And it just did not go her way. Like she had a brutal game. What were her stats? I think she had how many turnovers HVL have? Um, she had five turnovers and it was interesting. I think it was like 143. The game was still pretty close, and it was telling to me they had to take her out and get Poa in just because they wanted the defensive matchup. Because they needed to stop and not to get there. They had to pull her from the court. It was basically just acknowledging, man, she is a liability on defense. And then with Poa with the concussions, you've seen it before. Like again, I remember when Aikman played. Do you remember when Troy Aikman played in the Super Bowl? And it was the second one. It was the game against Buffalo, and I think it was the after the Emmett Smith lost his helmet game, and when they got Aikman did not play well in that Super Bowl, and he wasn't right in the head. He says he doesn't recall that week leading up to the Super Bowl. I think he said like he doesn't ever remember the second half when he took a knee to the head, and it takes you a while to shake off the cobwebs. And I wonder where Poa is at basically. Um, they were able to go to her, and she had turnovers as well. So she had three turnovers, and they sort of limited her time a bit. I don't have the minutes. Oh, she got 19 minutes, and I think they were just being very careful and slow with her, which they should have been, but that was the problem. You were dependent on Haley Van Lith, and she just a lot of turnovers. And then she got her second foul early on in the second, I think around 7 minutes, and they had to pull her. And she just did not have a game. She never got her rhythm, and they couldn't do the best they looked was before Poa went down in the semifinals of the SEC game, where it was Poa, Haley Van Lith, and they looked good. They looked like they'd figured it out on how to bring up the ball together, when to trade off, and you had Haley Van Lith playing the off guard essentially, but they would trade off at times. So that's the concern if you're LSU, or the problems that we've had all season, not trusting our point guards, having too many turnovers, which was ridiculous. They had 24 turnovers in this game compared to 18 for Rice. That's just way too many. And I'm sure Mulkey's going to crush them afterwards. Reese had a few travels and stuff like that. I don't like it when Reese brings up the ball because it takes her away from down low. I don't think that's the real. I think if they're facing a press, that might be a good option for them, but just casually bringing up the ball, and I think she just gets frustrated and says, "Man, my guards continue to turn this over. I'm just going to take control here and bring it up." But that's not the solution for them, in my opinion. Yeah, and that's the thing. But again, LSU landed the plane. They had a rough game, and you could say, "Man, okay, get that one out of the way, and they can still build throughout the tournament." The question, I think, in terms of them building, is how quick will Poa come back, and can they find that chemistry of Poa and Haley Van Lith like they had sort of going into the SEC tournament prior to her getting the concussion? It was interesting. Early in the game, I saw there was a play where Poa would normally take the charge, and she sort of backed out a bit and sort of made a business decision. I was like, good for you. Yeah, you need to stop taking those charges, or you're going to keep on getting crushed. So I thought that was good. In terms of the other players, Michaela Williams just I mean, her stats look okay if you look at them. They're 5 for 10. She went for 14 points. She got 4 rebounds, and but it was the turnovers. I think she had like 2 travels, and she looked like a freshman to me. I don't know if that's what y'all thought, but she just seemed a jittery freshman, which you would expect in the first game. The other one, um, I thought Del Rosario, I just she did not look good. Like, I think she was limited to 6 minutes. I think Mulkey realized early on that she can't trust her at this stage. Maybe she'll build as the tournament goes on, but if that's the worry I would think is if Reese gets into foul trouble, they're going to have to go small, in my opinion. They'll have to go with playing Morrow at the 5 or something like that. That's where they really missed that. The injury to Samai Smith was just a killer for LSU when she injured herself in the Grand Cayman tournament. But the the hero of the day, in my opinion, for LSU, the two that should get flowers and did a heck of a job were Flau'jae Johnson. Like, she had a great game. She played 39 minutes. She went 5 for 9, so she was efficient. 2 for 4 from 3 point land. She had, I don't know if you remember this. Do y'all remember uh, where she was guarding the other players, the 3 point girl? I think it was the one that I don't think it was Rice. Who was it that she was guarding? I can't remember if it was Fisher, but she drove her down into the basket and just into no man's land, and she couldn't do anything with her. And I felt like Flage was the best player for LSU today, and I thought she did well. And yeah, I thought that, and then the other one obviously was Morrow. So I think Morrow and Johnson basically saved LSU's bacon today and delivered because Morrow was also efficient. Morrow was 6 for 11, uh, 0 for 1 from 3 point land, 3 from 5 from that, 3 for 5 from the free throw line, and then she was strong on the board. She got 7 rebounds, and then Reese had an off game. You know, she went 1 for 7 for 10 points, but she got to the line. She was 8 for 12 from the line. And then the 19 rebounds was just a beast. Like, I thought she adjusted and kept battling. She didn't sulk. She had way too many turnovers with 6. I think she had a few travels as well. But I thought she battled and didn't let it get in her head, stayed positive, which is what you need to do. I'll just read some of the comments right here. Flage is money when she shoots. Yeah. Let me just go up to the top. Yeah, yeah, I thought that as well. The other thing that stands out to me was, yeah, Reese had 19 boards. Reese was a beast on the boards. She really was. I The one thing with Reese, people will say I'm a hater with her or whatever, but the one thing she gets away with is she barges with that shoulder. I can't believe she doesn't get more charges with her shoulder when she drives in because she sort of barges with her shoulder to get space. And man, if you can get away with it and get points, that's fine by me. Um, and then I thought Mulkey was going to have an aneurysm on the sideline. Like, LSU was just her point guards were just killing her. Just the stupidity of them. Like, there was one point, I can't remember if it's Johnson that had the ball, but she wanted them to dribble it out for a final possession, and they just did not do it. And Mulkey's like, "What are we doing?" And then in transition, they just kept on turning it over. They were up by 8, trying to ice the game, and they just turned over the ball. And that's the thing that has to drive Kim Mulkey crazy as a point guard herself. But those were the main things. What else did I see? I took notes during the game. Again, Lindsay Edmonds, full credit to you with your game plan. Um, and then the other thing I like that Edmonds did was when, I mean, obviously hurt them when Fisher got fouled out in the fourth quarter. But I don't know about you, but I am a fan of the coach playing a player with 4 fouls in the fourth quarter because I think it gives you the best chance and you hope for the best. I thought the foul on Morrow was a touch foul, in my opinion. I thought that was a rough foul out for her. Rice got 8 free throws, and LSU, how many free throws did LSU get? LSU got 31. So I'm sure Rice would say they got a bad whistle. The hometown whistle went against them. It might have. I'm not real big on that. I didn't see anything that was too egregious because I thought Rice's a lot of their fouls were basically trying to stop LSU from getting out in transition, in my opinion. Let's see what else. Let me just look at these comments again. Yeah, you definitely need Sanaya. Yeah, Flau'jae Johnson and Morrow were the ones that helped. Yeah, Flau'jae is playing well. I think she's really upped her game going to the end of the season, and yeah, she was taking out Fisher. That's what they wanted. Yeah, I think everybody has a lot of love for Flau'jae. And again, it's easy to get flowers when you have a good game and your shots dropping, but I have a lot of flowers for Angel Reese because when you're not getting any, your shot's not falling, you're getting turnovers and everything else, it's so easy to start sulking and saying, "Man, this isn't fair and I'm going to sulk and everything else." But she did the next best thing. She's like, "Okay, I'm just going to be a beast on the board." Got 19 boards. That's ridiculous and contributed, and that's what you want. But again, it just goes to the backcourt and you just I said it in one of my videos, but man, you just don't know what this team is going to do. um, Middle Tennessee is no joke. I'm pissed off at Louisville because I wanted the matchup of Louisville and LSU. That would have been an easy video for me to do, and it would have crushed. So, damn it, Jeff Walls. I knew you'd do it to me. I had it in the back of my mind. That's why I did a UConn preview last night. I took a guess because if you're not reading what is it, Hoop Stats or Hoop, what is it? Their preview is great, and they called that one as an upset alert of what is it, Her Hoops? Like they've got a email letter. And yeah, Her Hoops. Thank you, Santel. Yeah, in there. That was one of their upset alerts. Was like that was going to be a tough game for Louisville in their power rankings. They had them side by side, and sure enough, they've robbed us of that. So my video obviously because I've played to the wrestling crowd. It's gonna be all right. Here we go. HVL versus Jeff Walls. Let's get it on, and yeah, it's done. So I guess officially Jeff Walls loses the breakup. But right now, after the game that Haley played, I think they're both losers right now. I think they miss each other and they need each other because Haley looked a lot better last year than she does now, and I think her big plan um, was to go back to do well in the Final Four or do well this year, and then wind up going to the WNBA and moving on. But that just has not worked out, and she's sort of locked back into having to come back to LSU because she can't come out. I don't think she can declare for the draft the way that she's playing. Yeah, and that's the thing. So I don't think it's worked out for either of the two in terms of that. And I'm not suggesting they need to get back together or Haley transfer back to Louisville, but it is just it's tough because yeah, she has to stay there. And then Kim Mulkey, I mean, what do you do next year? Because who do they have coming in? Who does LSU have coming in? Because they have a local point guard coming in, I believe, who's that was their highest rated recruit. Is it Jade? I can't remember who it is. And Poe is coming back. That's right. And Janae Kent. I mean, you're gonna have to start getting her more minutes, in my opinion. And I think they're suffering for not getting Janae Kent more minutes right now because she hasn't had enough. And it'd be if you had 3 you could depend on, or if I would feel more comfortable going to Janae Kent if she would've gotten more minutes throughout the season. I mean, she would've gotten them in the garbage time games where they were crushing teams, but she really didn't get meaningful minutes in the tight games like the South Carolinas and stuff like that. Um, but, the other thing, again, I'm not writing LSU off before I get crushed by people saying I'm an LSU hater. I could see this as their initial ugly game, and then your hope, if you're an LSU fan, is they just slowly build as the tournament goes along. That yeah, this is their ugly one, and then Middle Tennessee should be a tough game. And with LSU, you just don't know. They could come out against Middle Tennessee and just have their A game on and crush them. That's the crazy thing about LSU, and then when they play UCLA, have their A game, and the next one just come out with not a great game. Yeah, Velez. Yeah, yeah, Velez is the one coming in, isn't? Oh no, Velez is the one that they got from New York, isn't it? Like she was highly regarded as well. So, yeah, so overall, I think LSU needs to. Yeah, yeah, it was an interesting first game. Now, to be honest, I haven't watched much of the other games. I briefly watched Ohio State. They were crushing them, but the game started here at 3 a.m. So I woke up at 3 a.m. and I saw Ohio State was crushing. Who was Ohio State playing? They were playing somebody. I can't even remember. Um, and they were crushing them, and I was just I rolled back and went back to sleep. And then I didn't get to see the end of the South Carolina game either, so I'm going to catch up on all the different games. But I was just curious in the moment to do a recap of LSU Rice games. It's like, wow, this is a game. Let me see some more. Velez does not look good in garbage time minutes, and yeah, Velez does not look good in garbage time minutes. She even make the roster next season. Um, Yeah, it was Maine versus Ohio State, thank you. Hey, that was yeah, Blair says, "Remember when everybody was calling LSU the super team?" Well, that was me. Yes, I thought it looked good on paper, but, as my old football coach said, "Paper is good for wiping." So, it hasn't worked out. I really thought Haley would transfer better to a point guard and settle in quicker, but it just has not happened. And then that injury to Samaya Smith just really killed them as well. I thought Del Rosario would be better than she was. I didn't realize she was so slow and that it would take her a while. I should have known better because bigs always take time to develop. And that's the problem is they don't have anybody to back up Angel Reese they can depend on. Yeah, I agree with that, Santel. The super team might have worked out if they would have had Samaya Smith because that's when it gets fun because you have so many parts to play with, in my opinion. And it did look good. I really think if the other one with Poole going, I mean, if Poole would have come back with a decent game, you would have had a nice three guard rotation as well. So Poole leaving and whatever her issues were, that hurt them as well, in my opinion, because Poole was solid in the tournament last year and she was your third guard. You'd have that rotation, but because they had their issues, obviously. That has really hurt them as well. So essentially, you've lost two players that you thought were going to give you quality minutes. And yeah, Samai Smith was playing great before her injury, and she was getting called out by Mulkey saying, Samai Smith's the one that put in the work over summer, and you can see it in her game, and that's why she was crushing it. Yeah, and yeah, I would agree. If you were gonna most improved for this year would be Samai Smith and Flau'jae Johnson. They put in the work and their games are so much better. And with Angel Reese, she has gotten better throughout the season, but I think she's more experienced. But do you really think she's different from what she was last year? She's sort of the same player. She'll crush you on the boards. She can have the games where sometimes her shots falling, but she really I'll go old school here, but I don't know if you remember, like it when I was a kid, it was Magic and Bird, and it felt like every off season, one of them would put something new into their game. Like I remember after Magic lost in the finals to Bird, then he started saying, "Okay, I'm going to work on my baby hook, and this is what I'm going to do, and be more of an offensive player." And they would just add a little bit to their game. When Bird first came in, he could not shoot. Like he got his first championship off the Rockets, and it was more he was a rebounder and did everything right. And then over his career developed his shot, and that's where you add to your game as the offseason and build it. And I don't begrudge, or I don't think Angel Reese was wrong. She's taking advantage of her opportunities and going to the SBs and everything else and living her best life. Why not? But of the players that put the work in over the summer, I think it's pretty evident that was Falajay Johnson, who as well has a lot going on, but she still put the work on her game. And as well, Samaya Smith. It's just so unfortunate she got the knee injury and got knocked out for the season. The other one I would say is Anissa Morrow. So she's done well to yeah, it was Tragic Johnson. That is right. Tragic Johnson. DJ would just bump him the whole way. DJ wouldn't have gotten away with that defense Jan Michael. Yeah, remember how DJ was just bumping him up all the way up the court and just in his grill the whole time? And I think he had one where they had like a 24-second violation, or he didn't get a last shot. I don't know. I'm probably mixing that up with the Mavericks. I think it might have been the Mavericks, but anyway, um, yeah, that was the thing. I digress. But the other one, Anissa Morrow, is probably the best transfer uh, in terms of integrating with the team. Like I've already said, I think Betts and what is it, Tahina Pow were the best fit transfers, but Morrow has fit in well and has really bailed out LSU because she gives them the toughness that they need inside, and she's done everything they've asked of her, in my opinion. Um, how long have I gone here? I've gone for about 25 minutes. I'll tell you what, I'll see how I go. I might come back on later on this afternoon. I'll see what games I watch and if I'm able to get back on or if I'm taking out back the kids. But I just really wanted to just really talk about this game and sort of go on instead of making a video later on about it. So those are general my thoughts on it. Um, LSU landed the plane, but I don't know if they are I don't know if it was just one game rust or if this is the problem that's going to keep on coming back and eventually they'll have a bad game against a really good team and they'll be done. Now, if you like the live stream, give it a like. I'd appreciate that. If you're on and you thought it was value, then please give it a like. So other people will watch the content. If you didn't as well, I'm always happy for poison. I don't know. I think people probably prefer me doing videos. I think my thoughts are more coherent on doing that. But when you're in the moment, I was just like, I've watched this game. I thought it was interesting and I had a lot to say about it. So I'll just jump on right now and do it. I'm sorry I had audio issues to start off with, but no, that I wanted to get on and just get my thoughts out straight away. Um, yeah, Jan Michael, LSU does seem to play up for the good teams, but yeah, so every game they had against South Carolina, they've probably given South Carolina the best run so far. Well, okay, Tennessee as well. Um, yeah, the injury did really that is 100% true. The injury to Smith really let Morrow. It sort of said, "Okay, Morrow, you're our girl. Here we go, and you figure it out." The other thing that helped Morrow was sort of Angel Reese going away for for the 5 games or whatever. That really helped solidify Morrow as well. I think Mulkey, it was a lot of speculation around it and everything else, but the absence of her um, made it look better. And then the same thing with Michaela Williams. Like in the SEC tournament, I was like, oof, Michaela Williams being out, that really helped LSU figure it out because for those few games, in my opinion, I don't know, you might think I'm wrong, but for those few games, it was like, wow, they look better with Michaela because Michaela's not there. Poa and Haley Van Lith are getting more time playing with each other, and they are getting more and more comfortable. And that actually looks better. And then when Michaela Williams comes back, Mulkey's going to have a choice on whether um, she puts Williams back in the starting lineup or have her come off the bench. And I think it would have been an interesting choice, but then that all got removed once Poa had her concussion, sort of remove that. But that would have been an interesting thing, especially if LSU could have gotten the upset over South Carolina with a healthy Poa. Yeah, Kitley was always an ACL injury. You knew it straight away. She grabbed it. She had that feeling, and then when she saw the dead giveaway on the Kitley injury was when they came back to the sidelines and she was in tears because they would have gone back in the locker room and they basically put the knee right here and they do a Lockman's where they do it and then they would have said, "Man, this knee is loose." It's the same thing with Aubrey Griffin. Like people got mad at me when I did that video. Um, about Aubrey Griffin, but when Gino Oriema just says, "Yeah, there's an orthopedic that took a look at her knee and they said um, her knee was loose." An orthopedic surgeon it was like, "Okay, it's an ACL. This is done. They can hold it." And I know people want to hold out hope, but it was always going to do it. This how old's this hat? Yeah, very old. Well, I'm bald. I need to wear a hat. I want to show my love. And the funny thing is because I live in Australia, nobody knows who the Houston Texans are. So why would you? If you're over in Australia, like the teams they love the 49ers, and now it's Kansas City. Nobody has any love for my football team. And as well, when we're here in Australia, in the morning, like they put 2 games free for TV, and it is never the Texans. It's never the A game as well, because I'm unwilling to pay for the pay TV. So it's always the 49ers. Back in the day, um, when they used to introduce NFL football in Australia, they would have this American guy. His name was Don Lane. He was like an American talk show host that came to Australia and had like a nice little niche for himself. His talk show career had been done, but he would show the NFL games at 11 o'clock at night in Australia, and they would edit out all of the now this was like 15 years ago. They'd edit out all of the like breaking from huddles. It would just be game action. No, it was fantastic actually. And he would nominate like 2 games, and they for a while they would have like the fans vote on it every week. It was like the 49ers, Green Bay, 49ers, Green Bay, or Dallas. And Don Lane's like, listen, folks, it's the best game. We don't want to watch the 49ers play. And it'd be like Tampa Bay. But the fans in Australia would still vote for the 49ers. So yeah, yeah, I live in Australia. Yeah, I have an American accent. I'm Australian born, but I've been in Australia since about 2000. Uh, yeah, so I've been here a heck of a long time. So my wife's Australian. My kids all speak with Australian accents, and I've lost my Texas accent to be quite honest. Like people think, and I think when you're overseas, I'm not sure if you know this, but when you're overseas, they think look, we don't want to, we'll ask if you're Canadian because supposedly Canadians get more offended when you call them Americans. I don't care, but I get called Canadian all the time because my accent is so dull. Like people don't pick that I'm from Texas. No way. They don't pick that at all. But yeah, all my kids like when I used to go home and see my mom and my sisters, my kids would talk because Australians talk really fast. They talk really fast. My mom would just look at me and say, "They're really cute, but I don't understand what what they say because I talk so fast." Always made me laugh. That was some of the interesting things. But no, yeah, definitely Australia. But I do keep up with all the sports, and the sports here are good. Like they're trying to bring. I don't know if any of y'all caught the rugby league that was in Las Vegas, but they tried to do 2 rugby league games over in America and Las Vegas. I don't think many Americans watched it, but rugby league is almost like American gridiron. It's like it's very structured. Other expats that I talk to say, "Yeah, I like rugby league. It makes more sense." Where the other one, where we used to always see on ESPN, the Aussie rules. That's the one where I've talked to other Americans and we're all the same. We're like, "Ah, I just can't watch it. The field is too big and it's just too disorganized." But then I talked to somebody else and they were like, "Hey, you need to relook at this game. There are a lot of principles of basketball in Aussie rules." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And then I started watching it again and started to like Aussie rules. So if you give any sport a chance, you're going to wind up loving it. And the other one that I like cricket now more than baseball. Like people here, and it's funny because people here hate test cricket, like one day cricket, and there's like a new game 2020 where it's almost like a baseball game, gets played in 2 hours or 3 hours. But with the new thing of those are the like that's where cricket's going. But I love test cricket. It can go over 5 days, but if you get a good test match, it is so great. Yes, cricket. You laugh, Santel, but I am telling you, if you get a good cricket match, it is fantastic because it builds over 5 days, and you'll get like the bowlers almost bat like that when they're batting. They're sort of like baseball pitchers. They're not very good, and they're trying to hold on and get runs at the very end. It is just great. It is just theater, and then you have this whole thing where Australia, big brother, little brother, they don't like England, and when they're playing in the Ashes, they absolutely hate each other, and it was great. They call this thing the Ashes. It gets played every 2 years, and the it's their version of almost, Auburn, Alabama, or Texas, Oklahoma. It's the grudge match, and it's played over a series. And the last one they had, they're supposed to be gentlemen and have a beer after the game. Well, the English were so pissed off about it because the Australians almost did like a hidden ball trick in baseball terms on them. Like the English guy sort of walked out of his wicket and the Australians got him, and the English were all upset. That's not gentlemen. You don't do that. but the guy was doping. He walked out of his crease and they got him. So it was like the hidden ball trick. And the English were so pissed off about it that after the series ended, which ended in a draw, which was very unsatisfying, but the series ended, you're supposed to have a drink and the English would not open their door. So I was like, oh, this is fantastic. So you put a sport in front of me, I will love it. All right, I've just gone way off the track for the last 5 minutes telling you about Australian cricket and how wonderful Australian cricket is. So I am sorry to digress. I hope you checked out a little while ago. I will end this stream now before I go on about the Roosters and Rabbitohs and rugby league. This is women's basketball. I need to stick to what I'm doing. All right. Thanks a lot for watching. Again, if you enjoyed it, give it a like. And I might see you on later on today, or I'll probably just upload a video later on. All right. Enjoy the basketball. You don't want to listen to me. Go watch the basketball. See you later. Bye.